Oh, hi, everybody. I'm Andrew Hochradel. This is your this is your creative challenge. My words aren't working today. Let's loop it back. Hey, everybody. Welcome to your creative challenge. We are going to be doing some 3D typography today in Adobe Illustrator. So click on the link down in the description and you can grab our source file and join me over in Adobe Illustrator right here. So today we are going to be creating in 3 dimensions. All of the challenges in this set are 3-dimension projects. So go ahead, grab this file and design with me. So we have some typography here, and today we are turning this typography into 3D typography. And not only are we going to be doing 3D typography, we're going to be tossing some materials onto it, some substance materials onto it. We're going to make it look like cheese. We're going to make it look like a couch. We're going to make it into lava. We're going to do all kinds of fun stuff. So please download this file and join me because it is going to be the most fun of challenges. So let's hop in here and start playing around in Illustrator together. All you need to do is type something out. We already have this here. This feels a little aggressive to me. It's kind of a lot, but I wanted to show you what it could look like and how some of these different pieces of 3D type would look, right? So let's do this. Let's not do all of these letters for now. Let's just do the first letter here, just the T, right? We're going to do like a New York Times kind of vibe here. So with this, I'm just going to select it and we are going to click over on extrude. And this is going to give us a nice 3D version of our letter. Already 3D, looks good to me. So let's go ahead and I'm actually going to change the color of this to a nice blue. Ooh, delicious. So we have this nice blue. You can zoom in here and see we've got some pretty good 3D going on. With this selected, we can grab all of the different depths. And if you don't see this window, if it's closed and your workspace looks like this, you can simply select that letter and you can go to Effect, 3D and Materials, and then go to Extrude and Bevel. Or you can go to Window, 3D and Materials if it is already applied. All right, so right there, we can go ahead and give it some more depth. And already, it's looking pretty good. If we wanted to, we could change the orientation of this by clicking here in the center and just clicking and dragging to rotate freeform. 3 dimensions flying through space. So it's pretty cool. You can find the right angle. Maybe we want something to look a little bit off kilter, right? Or maybe it's going fully on that harsh dimension. So the cool thing about this is as you change that angle, it is actually rotating not only the letter in 3D space, but also the line of that letter in 3D space. So if I wanted to type more on here, it is going to continue on that plane and continue to create type that is 3D for us, right? Looking pretty good. So if you don't want to do it custom, you can come over here and do front, or you can do off-axis front. There are a bunch of options for you to play around with on the side here. One of my favorites, I actually like the isometrics, maybe isometric right. It feels like it's just coming off of a wall, kind of. Let's scale that down just a little bit. All right, so that looks pretty good to me, and it is live type. It is actually real. And I am not liking the way that the type kind of looks here. So I'm gonna type out our moderator's name. His name is Wade, and we're going to use Wade just because I think that W is gorgeous. I love the way that W looks. Rotate maybe just a little bit here. I want to see through those letters. Let's do off-axis front. Let's do that. So we've got it off-axis front. That's looking pretty good. And not only can we change the type, but we also can change the lighting. So I'm going to come over here to lighting. And we could use standard, we could use diffuse, we could use top left, and you can see it's kind of jumping around, and that's cool. But I absolutely love that we have these sliders here, and we can change the color of the light. So let's do this. Let's change our type to be white, right? So now I have white type, but let's change the color of the light to maybe be a blue, right? That nice rich blue. And you can see now the blue is hitting that white and kind of creating this soft glow as if it was in a room together. The intensity as we pull it up is going to be brighter. That's just going to take away all the light. So we want it to be probably a little bit lighter. The rotation, you can see it's going to rotate around. Look at that. You can actually see the light moving. And so I really liked how it was hitting right here, how we have all of these different kind of angles with the light coming in very, very harsh. The height is going to show how close the light is to those letters. You can see that it's kind of swinging that lamp around. So I do want a little bit of shadow inside. So just a little bit right there. It looks good. The softness is not going to do a huge difference right now with how we're using this, but the ambient light will. Ambient light is going to kind of make everything glow a little bit more. If you bring the ambient light down, it is going to hit a lot more intensely with that color that you've created, right? So this is white text being hit with a color. If we change the color of the light, boom, it is going to change the color of the text. So it looks like we maybe want it to be, I want that blue. That blue is a really, really nice blue color. A little bit darker. Delicious. All right, so we have that. It looks great, but the shadows right now are only hitting the other letters, right? They're only hitting the other letters. And if we wanted to, we could still make transitions to this. So if we wanted to change the kerning here and track it out a little bit, we can set this to maybe 300. That's going to be way too much. Let's go ahead and set it to 100. And you can see that it's actually not hitting the different sides, right? So as I pull that in, is it this button? Nope, I have hotkeys on my keyboard, but they're not the right ones. All right, so as we pull this in, you can see that that W is now starting to hit the letter, and I want that. I want just a little bit of those letters overlapping. Yeah, looks good. And Nikki Cousins in our live chat over on Behance is saying, is the rotation of the light horizontal and the height more vertical? Yes. Yes is kind of the answer. The rotation here, you can see, is going kind of almost, man, it's hard to describe. It almost is swinging. It's like swinging around the letters, whereas the height is going kind of up and down. So if, here, I'll use my hands. The rotation is going this way, and the height is going this way, if that makes any sense. So that you can kind of eyeball it out, but that's what's happening, is it's kind of going one way and the other. So I really like the way that it's swinging around the front right there with just a little bit on the edges. So that looks cool. Now I could, if I wanted to, add some shadows. So if we add those shadows, you can see really where that light is coming from, right? It's hitting and casting those shadows, and we can change the distance of those shadows. If we don't want it right up on the wall, we can separate our shape from the wall by letting it float a little bit. I do want it to be right connected to the wall. And the shadow bounds just allow you to see more of that shadow. Now, you can change the orientation of that shadow as well. If we don't want it on a wall, if we want it to be floating, we can do below object, and then it will look like it is floating, right? The lighting changed quite a bit there to be hitting and from the top down. We want it behind the object so it's from the side, so we're lighting it from the front. From there, we did this yesterday, and we won't do it a lot today just because I don't want to bog things down. We're going to turn on ray tracing. We're going to go to high. We're going to reduce the noise, and we're going to hit render just to see what this 3D typography looks like. Rendering, it's thinking about rendering. The ray tracing is so good because it makes it so crisp and so clean. We are going to do this one more time because I am going to apply a material to this type and kind of give it a new life. Look at that. Look at how gorgeous that is. So the cool thing about this is if we wanted to drop like a background behind here, I'm just going to drop in a color, and maybe we want it to be orange so we have some contrast. Ooh, that's too much. Maybe a nice green, some yellow. All of those renders, you can see the light looks like it's actually on a wall. It is very much casting the shadow, looks like it is on a physical version of a wall. I think that's really cool. So let's go ahead and add in a couple more things. I'm going to turn off these shadows real quick just so we don't bog things down. It's going to render back in. We're going to turn off ray tracing, and then we're going to show you how to do some materials. So our friend Wade is here, and that's great. We love Wade, but I also love couches. There's no transition there. So I'm just going to type the word couch here, and I want to find a font that's really like plump, and we're going to make it really couchy. So we're going to open up our character panel, and I'm going to go to our filters right here. In the filters, we want a sans serif. We want it to be super thick, and it's going to show us all of those that are super thick and sans serif. So this one right here that is synced from Adobe Fonts, Ardois, maybe? Heavy. There we go. So this is looking good. That's what we want it to be. So with this, it doesn't really look great with it being a color, right? We want a little more personality to this. And I want these letters to be a little bit more close together. So we're just going to pull the tracking in. And you can see if you do negative tracking, 3D will pull them into being like cohesive shapes. So let's pull it into each other. And we've got this super fun kind of blobby couch. And we want to do a couple things here. The first thing I want to do is, instead of doing the extrude, I'm going to see what happens if I do inflate. And this might not be what I want, but we're going to click on inflate and see what happens. Oh, I love it so much. So we did inflate here, and it just looks hilarious. I love it. We are going to click on inflate both sides, and you can see on the back there, if we rotate it, it is a new feature that it has inflated both sides. So now we have a very, very kind of flowy couch. Maybe we do this one on just the front, just because it's so blobby. So we have our kind of inflated couch. You can see the 3D is treating those letters as one because they are kerned into each other. This looks hilarious, and I think it's great. We could take the volume down, and it's actually going to inflate it less. Or we can take the depth, and the depth is going to do the same thing. It's going to give us a little bit less of that depth. And you can see this more if I rotate it. Let's go ahead and give you, yeah. So the depth is just going to give us, right, how much of that couch we get. And maybe we do an off-axis front, take that depth down, and then we'll also inflate it just a little bit less so we still get some vibes of it being a couch. So that's looking great. This is making me so happy. But I want it to look like a couch. So let's go ahead and go to materials. And this is going to allow us to really make it super couchy. Not only are we doing 3D, we are going to apply substance materials to this to really make it into a 3D object. Now, the one that I want isn't here. There is not a couch here. But what I can do is I can click right here on find more materials on Substance 3D community assets. And it's going to open up a page for me. And from here, I can scroll through all of these assets, and oh my goodness, look at this, a button leather sofa. All I need to do is click on download. It's gonna download that for me. And so as you're doing your challenge, please go to this site. Please play around with some crazy stuff. Please make the most insane Rubik's Cube typography. Like literally play around with these because they're so much fun. And all you need to do is open up that 3D and materials, click on materials, and then click right here on the community. So from there, the way that we're going to load that in is we're going to go to add materials, and then I'm going to grab my download that I just got right there, button square. I'm going to hit OK, and it will load that in for me right here. Right there, it's loading, it's thinking about it, and watch what happens when I click this. It's automatically going to apply it to the object that I have selected, which is our couch typography. It is, it has applied it there. I'm going to turn off the light, is just going to be white because that blue is way too intense. So there we go. Making it white. Now we can see the scale isn't quite working for us. It's looking more couchy, which is what we want, but the scale isn't quite what we want. So we're going to repeat, turn this up. And the repeat's going to allow that pattern to just repeat a lot more and kind of give us the actual couch vibes that we're looking for. So that's looking good. I am going to increase the resolution to maximum resolution. That's going to make things a little more intense here. Probably shouldn't have done that, but it's going to look good. I promise. It's going to look real good. I'm actually going to turn that back down once it renders. We'll do that at the end. We'll do a full ray trace. But we're starting to get those materials, and you can see that it's full 3D, right? It's not just like mapping art onto something. It's actually giving us 3D depth on that couch typography. The lighting is looking a little bit wonky, so we are going to fix the lighting once it renders out here, and we're going to change it around, and you'll be able to see not only is the lighting hitting those letters, but it's hitting each of those curves, each of those little button down points, right? It's going to get all kinds of that leathery glow using the materials that we have brought in here from the community. Also, thanks community for the materials that you provided for us. I'm stalling at this point to get it to render. I made a mistake here trying to push it to maximum render quality while we're streaming. There we go. All right, we got it. So looks good. I am going to take that back down, and we are rendered back in. So with that back down, what I'm going to do is we are going to fix the lighting now. And with this selected, we can go over to the lighting, and you can change the intensity. So we want it to be a lot brighter by bringing the intensity up. And then watch this. This is where it gets cool. Changing the rotation, you can see, look at the glow on that couch. You can see that it's hitting every single one of those little couchy pieces. And I do want it to have a nice little couchy glow. And so I love kind of the edge right there. Now the height, same thing. We probably want this to be pretty close so there's not too many harsh shadows. And the ambient light, meh, I don't think we need it. So what we can do is we can come back into materials and we can start to look down here. There are all kinds of different elements that we can play around with in the materials. We can change the saturation. So maybe we want the actual couch to be a little more saturated. Whoa, a purple couch. And maybe we want to change the color hue. So maybe we want a different colored couch, not a green couch. Blue couch, purple couch. Let's do a... You know, I like the color that it was. This kind of purpley couch I think feels great. So color lightness is just going to bring it up a little bit. All right, we got some contrast, maybe a little less contrast we could do with, or maybe more. So you can play around with these, and roughness is just going to give us different kind of texture on there. It really is something that you can play around with a ton of different parameters and allow, look at all these, right? Glossiness. You can add all, because it's sharpness of the leather. We want sharp leather. The buttons, you can do bigger buttons. Yeah, why not? Why not have bigger buttons? And rendered, boom, bigger buttons. All right, I'm gonna take the sharpness down and look at that. So we have all these things. Damage, we don't want any more damage. We want a clean couch. We want a clean leather sofa. Not as much grime on there. We don't want any dirt. We want this to be a very clean sofa. So this is looking pretty good to me. And if we zoom out here, look at that. Magic. Magic. All right, so from here, I do want a little bit less. It looks like it's a little, the depth is a little bit too much. So we're going to pull this down just a little bit. And you can see it scaling there. All right, so that's looking pretty good. And if I click and drag this, watch. Look at that. It is a full 3D shape with that art mapped onto it. You can see on the edges there that it feels 3D, right? It feels like we actually have a couch that is existing in 3D with that material on it. Gosh, this is looking so fun. All right, so that's looking good. It does feel like I want it to go a little bit more that way so we can read couch. All right, so we have it reading couch right there. And now let's put some lighting on it. Ooh, let's change it to front. And then let's have it have some perspective. So perspective is going to pull it all the way back. So watch this. Perspective is going to give us a little bit of that depth, and it makes it look like it's got a little bit more oomph to it. And this looks great, but we do want to make it look like it is kind of sitting on something. So this is where lighting comes in. With this selected, we can go to lighting, and we can turn on those shadows, and we want the shadows to be below the object, right? And this is going to change our lighting because it is taking the light now from the top to the bottom because we want the shadow below the object. So we are going to change the rotation. We're going to bring it a little bit more to the front. And the height is going to come down just a little bit as well. And from there, softness isn't going to really do much. Ambient light, we don't want it to have any ambient. We are going to change the distance, which means that it's going to look like it's floating. And that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and ray trace this. And maybe I don't want distance. Maybe I want it to really feel like it's sitting there. So with maximum settings, let's go ahead and do some ray tracing and see what this looks like. Ray tracing on, high, reduce noise, render. All right, here we go. We are rendering, and it is going to look very different. So when you full render using the ray tracing, it is going to be very crisp. It's actually going to change the colors probably a little bit because of the way that the lighting and the shadows are interacting with each other. So we'll see what it does here, but it is going to look like a full 3D shape. And again, using those substance materials, super helpful to get something very fun that looks delicious. Give it a second. And while it's doing that, what I want you to do is when you are done with your piece, go ahead and click on that link down in the description, and you can also upload yours to Discord. Right here, we have some friends playing around. There are some 3D model textures that are see-through, that have cutouts. There's a military, I believe, one that has some cutouts. It's really cool. So you can play around with those. But here we go. We have our couch. It is traced, and look at that. It looks like it is an actual physical object, right? Look at that. Look at the detail that we get on some of these edges in here. Let's go ahead and turn the quality of this material all the way up. This is a bad idea. This is already a mistake, but we'll let it go. So while you are working, create something using 3D, create your own 3D typography. Just play around with the panel. Make sure that you click on that community subsets right here in the materials. You can grab the materials from the community right here, and you can find anything that fits your fancy. I love the Rubik's Cube one here, and this will map to any kind of typography that you're working on. There are some 3D objects in here that you can't bring into Illustrator. You can bring them into Photoshop, I believe. Ooh, sci-fi floor tiles, some leather black, like a stitched leather. So there's some really cool stuff. And the stuff like this that has the variations in height, that is going to look really, really like what we did, right? So these right here that are having that distance between high and low, it's going to give you that on your typography, and it's going to look very good. Ooh, there's some really fun, ooh, a cross stitch. So yes, go and grab your materials, play around with them, and create something gorgeous. It is still rendering because I turned it up to maximum settings. Andrew, why did you do this? Because I just wanted to spend more time with you. That's why. So, y'all, go and make your own typography. If you want to follow along with me on social media, you can do so by just going to Hoch.co. That is my social. And a question from the chat. Thank you, live chat, for saving me as I stall while this renders. What is the difference between the spheres and the other shapes? Great question. So the spheres that you see here, these spheres are materials. These are materials that you can apply to things. So whatever your 3D object is, you can apply this material to your 3D object. These 3D objects, like this compact right here, and let's see if there's some more. This fire hydrant here, these are 3D shapes. So these 3D shapes, you're able to pull into Stager and other 3D programs like that, as well as Photoshop. But you want to work with the materials because those will process onto your typography as you're doing a 3D. Some of these are so fun. I've been looking for a cheese one forever. If anyone is watching this, cheese. I've been waiting for this cheese to happen. So the cheese is here, y'all. We are fully rendered. So let me zoom this. Look at how perfect this looks. Look, this looks like a high quality 3D render because it is one. It's incredible what these materials can do when applied to things. I also am going to need to just real quick, as we close out the stream, we have 1 minute left. I do want you to create your own pieces of gorgeous 3D art, and I will leave you with the cheese. I've been waiting for so long for someone to make a cheese texture, and this material is here. Let me have cheese. Cheese. I'm just having fun. I'm trying to teach you, but I also am this is everything that I've wanted. Cheese. All right, one more question as we sign off from chat. After you get the result you want, will the materials stay on the type? And yes, the materials will stay on that type. Yes, it is live type. I could even change this if I wanted to. So maybe we wanted this to say Swiss. That material is already on there. I can literally just type out Swiss. And boom, there we go. We got some type. And I outlined that. If I need to change the actual shapes, it is now outlines. So it is outlined. So look at that. Thank you so much for joining me today. We made some cheese. We made a couch. It looked great. Go make your 3D. Put it in our Discord. The link is down in the description of this video. And I will see you again for more 3D fun and madness. We're getting all kinds of 3D here in Illustrator. Bye. Nope, that's the wrong button. All right, well, I'll sneeze my way out, I guess. Choo!